preview.
PAS 100 compost, commonly known as quality compost, is a material that is manufactured to a stringent specification, which is a British standard, and PAS 100 stands for Publicly Available Standard 100. And we're working at Penrhyn Quarry with Welsh Slate here today to demonstrate the use of quality compost in a quarrying environment. Quarries very often got absolutely no soil materials at all, and this sort of demonstration shows how soils can be manufactured on site from available materials and quality compost.
We call it a manufactured soil, but we're using an organic fraction that is purely natural. The idea is to use, be it quarry waste or inert material that's already on site, which is fundamentally free. It's 70% of the manufactured soil. The 20 or 35% that we're incorporating here is the organic fraction. So instead of importing 100% of a natural topsoil, which is a finite resource that we don't want to deplete, we're just bringing in 25 or 30% of the total volume of material in the form of organic matter. The first phase is to make sure that we deep dig the overall substrata. That's the strata without the compost amendment. That's to increase the aeration of the material, but it's also to make sure that in especially environments like this, any downpours of water is free draining. So once the substrata is deep dug, we've spread, in this case, 50 millimetres of compost at the surface, and then most importantly, it's rotivated in. The results that we're aiming for here is quick germination of the seeds and a quick establishment of the trees. In that way, hopefully, from an economic point of view, there's less dieback. The trees will establish and we don't have to go back and replant.
The use of recycled organics, quality compost, is absolutely ideal because it's a reasonably cost-effective means of creating an environment with the appropriate nutrients in it to develop into the type of sympathetic restoration that you need to achieve. And each environment is unique, and there is a way to deal with that uniqueness using different amounts of compost and different applications.
The lovely thing about PAS 100 compost is it's regulated. There's a standard set for that compost and it must meet that standard, because what can happen is when manufactured compost comes in without that standard, you don't exactly know what's gone into it, you don't know what the nutrient values are, you don't know anything about it. So in actual fact, if you bought something that was less than PAS 100, you could be importing certain types of toxins into your compost, using that compost, which would obviously lead to a failure. There's different techniques that are actually used that's developed specifically for the quarrying environments, although they can be utilised in other environments as well. Obviously you've seen the degree of the angles of the slopes and the steepness and the height of the slopes. Now one of the ways that I've actually developed is what are called seed balls, which is a blend of quarry waste and of the green compost that we use, but integrated into that I've integrated seeds that's been germinated to a certain point. So once these balls are formed, I can then take these up onto the slopes, then I can throw them down the slopes, and as they go down the slopes, what happens then is they're able to find their own lodging points, and within those lodging points, eventually over the seasons, because of the weathering, this ball will then break down, which then provides the nutrients for the seeds to germinate on in the pockets, and then they can grow. On some of the more scree friendly slopes, I actually make blocks of compost up in the shape of a large brick, and within that brick as well I impregnate seeds, pre-germinated seeds into it, and then I can bury that block in the slate waste itself, and then you can put whatever you want to on top of that. If you want to put a tree inside of it, you just make a hole, you put your tree in, so you've created a little environment for everything to germinate in as well.